Welcome to Found Footage Friday. Sorry we missed last week. We were busy moving, so suck it. Suck it. All right. So, as above, so below me.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
the Hermetic philosophy.
This is a very beloved found footage film that I was never huge on for some reason. I've seen it like 3 times.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I really enjoyed it this time. I guess it finally clicked for me. For some reason, I always get super tired while watching this movie.
I don't know why.
It's not because I'm bored. I don't know. It's happened the last couple times. This time was one of them. I was like falling asleep, remember?
Yeah, you were.
I was super tired.
Yeah.
I mean, I did a lot of moving and a lot of shit. So, I was just tired.
That's why.
Anyways, so this is like some Indiana Jones shit at the beginning, right? Which, of course, I'm always going to be into as a big, massive Uncharted fan. Grew up on Indiana Jones, both the movies and the video game, The Fate of Atlantis. For all y'all out there who know them point-and-click adventure games from LucasArts. Little freaking Monkey Island. Mm-hmm. Anybody? Anyway,
Somebody out there.
Somebody out there.
Not me.
I actually just bought a remastered kind of little version of
the Indiana Jones,
of
right?
Fate of Atlantis.
Mm-hmm.
It came with like a whole pack with like all the Infernal Machine and all these other games. But I'm just like, I gotta play it again. I gotta get all 3 endings. I've gotten 2 of the 3 now, and I'm like, I got 1 more to go for. So, all right. Now we got our main girl here. For some reason, I didn't write down her name. I wrote down the other guys' names, but not hers. Not really honestly sure how that happened, but
I'm definitely blanking on their names, which is funny because I do really love this movie, but
we'll call her India Jones.
India Jones? No, it is
Scarlett. Oh, that's what I wanted to name my daughter. That's
Scarlett.
funny, I forgot. So Scarlett is a treasure hunter of sorts. She's looking for the Philosopher's Stone, or in America, the Sorcerer's Stone.
Right. According
to Harry Potter.
Nicholas Flamel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Straight up Nicholas Flamel as well, which of course is like part of it. The first time I'd ever heard of the Sorcerer's Stone or the Philosopher's Stone and Nicholas Flamel and all that was from Harry Potter. So like, I thought that was just something J.K. Rowling had made up.
Right.
And then when I heard this in like this movie or maybe later on, I was like, they're ripping off Harry Potter.
Ripping off Harry Potter. No, it's like a alchemical like legend.
Alchemy.
Yeah.
What did you call it? Alchemical?
Alchemical. It's because it's a legend, like an alchemy legend. Alchemical is right. That's the right word.
Alchemy is the right word.
But alchemical is like relating to alchemy is what I'm trying to say.
So it's like,
I thought alchemical was a word, but maybe not. But
maybe I don't know if it's.
I don't know what truth. I don't really know if Nicholas Flamel is a real person. So I don't know anything about that. But
I don't know. I can't say.
Yeah.
I know nothing about it. I thought Harry Potter made him up. So that shows you my knowledge on Nicholas Flamel. But hearing it in here, so she goes, and of course she pushes it too far with this guy, and they're gonna bomb this area.
Yeah.
Why they're destroying it? Is it because it's like evil, or they're just like bombing it, or I didn't really understand why they're bombing it.
I don't remember if there's like an explanation for why it's being like demolished.
Yeah. But like, who demolishes ancient ruins?
Dumbasses.
Yeah, I don't know. Usually that kind of stuff is protected.
Yeah, sure.
Like that'd be like bombing the pyramids or something. It's like, nobody's gonna do that.
But
right?
she even says like they don't even know this is down here. So I don't think, I mean, like they don't know that part of it's there.
Well, sure. She kicks in the wall and she finds this like cipher. Thing. Bull. What is that? What is that animal?
It's a bull.
Is it a bull?
It's a bull.
Yeah. So
and it's like the Rosetta Stone, but for alchemy.
Right. So she goes and she gets that information, and then she goes and hires Benji or George. Which one's which?
She hires.
Who's the cameraman?
The cameraman is Benji.
Okay, that's what
George is her like love interest.
Her ex.
Or her ex. Really, they're not really romantic at all in this, but I mean they kind of are at the end when they're like we're dying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she hires Benji, and then her and Benji kind of go around where she's like I don't know, they're getting B-roll or whatever, and then they go to get George. This
is definitely one of the first found footage films in a while where we've watched, and I actually was like. Believing the two people being romantically entangled, right? Like we watch so many movies like this where I don't know the pairing just doesn't feel right. Like either the other, like one of them is like much more attractive than the other, or their personalities just clash or something, but. Both these guys, like, they definitely had a very similar passion. They both were, like, equally good looking. And, like, I don't know. Not that ugly people or, like, you know, whatever, don't date each other. Like, tens dating ones and shit. Right. Like, that does happen. But it's just, I don't know. In movies, I'm always like, no, that chick's not interested in that dude. I'm just not buying it. But I have seen the ugliest dudes with some of the prettiest women I've ever seen, and I'm like, what? So it happens. It's just, I don't know. In movies, I'm like, no. Keep it out of my fantasy.
I think they're a good match, and I think they have good chemistry throughout, even though, like, they do feel like an ex-couple, like, the way that they treat each other and everything, where there's, like, you know, clearly a lot of history, but there's also a lot of, like, baggage and everything, and I think that George's character, I just feel so bad for him the whole time because, like, from the beginning, he's just like, I don't want to help you because the last time I helped you, I was sent to a Turkish prison.
Yeah.
And she, like, also from the very beginning, even, like, before we meet George, when she's finding the, like, Rosetta Stone, she is so relentless and so selfish and so
she'll put everybody's lives in danger to get what she
wants. And she does it through being like charming and you know, and it's not like a like super manipulative, like it's weird. She is very manipulative, but in a very like she's, I don't know, like it's not a mean manipulation, if that makes sense. Like she does try to like convince people and like persuade them like with her passion, with how excited she is and how intelligent she is on like the subject.
Yeah.
But it's still like really shitty, I feel like. As much as I love this film and I think it's great, like her character, every time I see it, I'm always just like, dude, like she's so awful.
She has a singular vision.
Yeah.
And she has a sole focus.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't think her intention is to be evil or sly or any of that stuff. She just uses what she has to get what she wants because she thinks that that's the most important thing.
Right. That's kind of what I was meaning. Like, she's not, like, the kind of person who's, like, she's manipulating people, but for something that she thinks is, like, the most important thing ever, which it is to her. And, I mean, which
is the case with most people who are manipulators.
Sure, but, yeah, I don't know. I guess it just...
You don't feel like she has ill intent.
Yeah, because, like, what she's going after, like, this thing that's such a of historical importance, I mean, it obviously has personal importance to her, too, with her dad and everything, but it's something where it's, like, this could be, like, groundbreaking for so many different, like, for science and medicine and religion and whatever. So I get why she's, like, willing to risk everything for it.
I think this is attractive bias.
What do you mean?
I think you're looking past her faults because she's attractive.
No, I was saying that I understand, like what you were saying about her using what she has to get what she wants. I'm just saying I understand what she's doing, and I also don't think that she's being, like, a mean, like, evil person in her mind.
I don't think that she has the capacity to even comprehend that, because her sole focus is on achieving this goal.
Yeah.
So everyone's collateral damage to her quest, but her quest is such a focus of her mind, it really is all that matters. And she doesn't even take into consideration other people's safety or their like fears or their desires or anything, because we're just going round and round here, but like, she's just so focused on the prize. She's very narrow, viewed, very narrow minded. She can't see anything else. And so I don't know. I don't know if that's a good enough excuse for doing manipulative bad things, because she's smart enough. I mean, you're talking about a girl who's like accomplished, and like her dad was like on her ass, and she was like learning 5 languages and can, she's like this Ivy League school educated girl, and and that doesn't mean that she's socially competent, but regardless, she doesn't come off to me as someone who's like socially inept. Like, she seems like she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
She just doesn't care. So to me, that actually rings more like she kind of is a shitty person. Like, intentionally so, I mean. I don't know. I don't know what to make on that. We shouldn't spend too long on that.
I won't spend any more time. But, like, I do think I just want to clarify, I think she is a shitty person, but I don't think it's intentional.
And I'm saying that's an attractive bias.
Yeah. It's weird. But every time I watch it, though, she's just... It's tough. It's tough with all her decisions.
Whenever I hear Turkish prison, all I can think of is the joke in Airplane when... Have you ever seen Airplane?
Once.
When Leslie Nielsen has, like, the kid up front, and, like... This is the kind of comedy that today definitely would be, like, frowned upon, and, because, like, this dude is, like, straight up... He's basically hitting on the kid, but he's, like, really just talking about, like, gay things, but he's, like, talking about it with the kid, like, if he's trying to, like, see if he has interest in these things. So he's, like, you ever seen a grown man naked? And, like, you ever been to a Turkish prison? And that's really in reference to, there's a movie called Midnight Express. It was a very popular movie a long time ago, and there's this guy who's, like, gets sent to a Turkish prison, and he's, like, raped, like, like mad. So that was, like, one of those references of, like, homosexuality.
Uh-huh.
Right. So anytime I think of Turkish prisons, I always think of, like, Midnight Express and Airplane. So I heard it in here, and I was like, I don't hear that term much, a Turkish prison anymore, but there you go for any film fans out there who are familiar with that stuff. Okay. And I have no idea why I wrote that. We watched this like a week and a half ago.
We did.
And we were going to record it, but we just could not get the time to do it.
Yeah.
Different angles. Oh, yeah. When they're filming in like certain scenes, there's definitely like, I think it's in like the interview, and when he's like taking, I think it's when Scarlett takes Benji to meet George.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what it is. And and George is over here talking about something, and Scarlett's over here talking about something, and Benji is the only cameraman.
Yeah.
And he's like talking, and then she'll be saying something, and then George will be talking, and it'll be like cut to it because they're like talking over each other.
Yeah.
And they'll cut to his dialogue without any break in the audio.
Yeah.
And it'll already be focused on George. in the next cut.
Obviously.
So it's like 100% two cameras.
Right. Obviously.
Unless George is like, or unless Benji's
like
got two cameras. I mean, that could explain it if you really wanted to go that way.
This is
like
definitely...
if he was wearing a head cam and...
Yeah, I don't think it's that.
No.
But this is definitely a found footage film that I don't feel like it is true.
Follows the rules.
Yeah, it doesn't follow the found footage rules, but because of how it's filmed with like head cams and handheld cameras and everything, obviously it is found footage. But
that's the only one that really stuck out to me like bad, where I was like, dude, this is two different cameras.
Well, and then we talked about like with the ending, there's people who die, but we have their head cam footage.
Oh,
right?
Sure. This footage was not found. We just are, this is one of those things where we're basically seeing a live feed of their cameras.
Yeah,
right?
as it's happening.
This definitely, I mean, literally, spoilers obviously, literally, like a couple of the cameras are in hell.
Right.
They didn't go down to hell and find the footage.
Yeah, so...
Right.
It's definitely, the found footage is a style choice, like a cinematography style choice, versus like the subgenre itself, where you're like believing that it's 100% real. Although I do feel like this film has like really, really great acting and dialogue and everything that feels really natural. So
yeah,
it just isn't believable with how it's shot.
I mean, I don't know. It's as believable as most any other. When it's like a bigger action piece thing, but to use the the setting that they use, right, the catacombs of Paris, is always going to be a really great setting for a horror movie,
of course,
right?
Yeah.
And it's not something I see very often. There's a Shannon Sossman film with Pink called Catacombs. That's obviously takes place in the catacombs. I don't see the catacombs much. I think that's where Indiana Jones goes in Last Crusade with Ilsa when she like betrays him. And they like go down through the library, and he like breaks into the ground. Is that in Paris?
I don't know.
I thought they were in like Venice or something there.
I don't know.
It's been a while since I've watched Last Crusade. Obviously, I need to rewatch it. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like with 6 million people buried underground, and like they like made freaking walls. Yes. Out of their bones and skulls and stuff. Like, what? Like, their bodies had to have completely decayed to nothing to then reorient them into being, like, walls and such. You know what I mean?
I don't know how... I have no idea how the catacombs...
Because they, like, built the catacombs because there were so many people dying that there was, like, a smell and, like, whatever. Right. So they were, like, burying them underground. But then, like, they would still have to decompose to the point of bone... And then go back down there and grab the bones and then start fashioning them into walls. I have no idea if they if they could have stripped the bodies first somehow. I don't know. I would think that maybe they like died, right? And then they put them down there, and then 100 years later or something, they like wanted to go down and like organize them and get the catacombs like more put together. I don't know. I'd have to look up the history of it, but I was looking at the bones, like they didn't put the bones down like that to begin with. So like when did they get like
cleaned the bodies? But
again, what would they do with all the flesh and all that? Like what would be the point? They literally just put them underground to get rid of the smell. They're not going to take the time to fucking like strip them of their flesh so that they can make them into no, of course not.
I don't know how they were made, but it is a great location for a horror film.
Unless they burned all the bodies and then took the skulls and the bones. But then why those don't smell?
They probably did burn the bodies. Somebody tell us how the catacombs were made,
but like why even bother? I mean, I guess it's just a place to put them, but it just seems like such an insane amount of work to like organize them as opposed to just throwing them in a big pit. For, like,
well,
you know
sure,
what I mean?
it is an insane amount of work. I mean, it's like you said, they're building like walls and stuff out of like heads and like leg bones and
very
all kinds
morbid.
of stuff. It's really cool though. It's really, really cool, and I know that there are other like abbeys and old churches and stuff where they've used like the bones of monks or whatever to like create like part of the structure, in like the interior structure. I think it's cool. I think it's really cool. But it would be like if we were ever in Paris, of course I would want to go to the catacombs. But I would imagine that it would have to feel very, like, I mean, creepy obviously, but just like surreal to be surrounded by so much death. And I do think it's just a perfect location, especially for this film. Super cool. Super, super cool.
Yeah. And then, like, the shit that's written down there on the walls.
Yeah.
Like, dude, what? Is that really, like, what's written down there? That's, like...
I don't know.
I gotta go down
maybe
there.
Because, like, some of it's, like, Bible verses.
But it's, like, talking about, like, the gateway to hell
That I doubt is written down there, because one of them is, like...
I don't know.
But maybe not. I don't... Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about people who, like, fashion bones into walls.
You're right. They're probably like, this is fucking hell.
I mean, sure, people who are down there are probably like, this is hell on earth.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm sure one of you has been to the catacombs. And tell us, like...
What's down there?
Maybe we should look it up before we do these videos, but we never do. Because we're always trying to be fast and whatever, and we should research, but... We don't, Nate. It's funnier to sound like dipshits. So
yeah, you're
there
like
you go.
Freaking Nicholas Flamel that was created
That's Harry
by
Potter.
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah. They're forced down there by the cops. I feel like if I was George, I'd just be like, dude, I'd rather go to jail.
I mean, yeah, he's not going to go to a Turkish prison. He's going to go to French prison.
And probably not even prison. He's in a fucking tunnel.
Yeah, they're just gonna be like, get out.
They're like, you're trespassing. You need to go.
100%. George should have just been like, bye.
Yeah, George should have been like,
when they're walking in and he's just like, they're like, where are your boots? Like, where's your headlamp? And he's like, I told you I'm not going. Like, I'm not going.
Yeah, he goes down there
so many times.
Freaking sneakers.
Yeah, he has nothing, and they have like an extra headlamp and like camera for him, but dude, no. Yeah. And then she but just because like when he gets down there, you also find out that he is mildly claustrophobic because his brother died in a cave. So he's like freaking out. Like that's why he didn't want to go down there.
Yeah.
And she's just like, I'm so glad you're here. Like I'm really happy you're here.
Yeah,
like that's gonna make him feel better. Like, and it doesn't. He reacts. I love the way that he reacts to her because it's just like, no, like I didn't want to come here. Like,
hell yeah.
You being happy that I'm here doesn't make any of this okay.
No, he shouldn't have went down there. None of them should have went down there, obviously.
Yeah.
But we get some naked ladies who are painted up like the girls from the Green Inferno in this.
Yeah, before they even get down there too, they see the girl. They see like this like priestess lady. She's super creepy when she's walking around like outside the nightclub. And even when they're doing the tour of the catacombs before, you see...
Guys, like, taking notes.
Yeah, you see this, like, he's an apparition, and I love all of that stuff, too. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's really eerie and very ominous, and very, like... I love when, like, horror is weird like that, like, the situations are weird.
Yeah.
Because it just adds this other level to it, where it's, I don't know, it just makes it really scary.
Yeah. The route collapses. Oh my goodness. No good there.
Yeah.
Very Descent in that moment for sure. When he's trying to climb through and it's like starting to collapse on him. That's almost identically the same scene as the one in The Descent. They find the mole.
They do.
Down there. He's been missing for how long?
I don't remember if it was months or a year. Might be months.
I don't remember either.
I don't remember.
It's been a long time.
It might be years. It's been a long time that he would not be alive.
Yeah, and they have to make their...
isn't.
So they like go through and then they get circled around.
Yeah.
And then they have to like... There's the only way to go is the evil entrance that like no one goes through, and the last guy who went through was never seen again.
Right.
And they're like, we have literally no other option. We got to go through this, which is scary.
It's very scary.
And they, like, is this a set? I'm assuming.
I mean, yeah, I think it is a set.
It's a pretty elaborate set. I mean, for
yeah.
all this tunnels and underground stuff. This stuff ain't cheap.
No.
So
but it looks great.
It must have a pretty decent budget.
Right. It does. I would assume it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, or did.
They just filmed this all in the catacombs.
They're like, this stuff is really down there.
And yeah, dude, like, just like the random objects showing up from like their pasts or whatever, like the phone, the piano.
Yes.
The one key is off and all that stuff.
It's so good. It's very much like The Ritual, the film version, and in a similar way at least, where it's like the reality is like bleeding into like what their past is bleeding into their present reality. But it's cool because it's like they are going into like hell, so the fact that the environment changes to kind of like mess with all of them and remind them of like parts of their past that they're not proud of or ashamed of or whatever is really cool and really spooky, because it just like it just gets increasingly weirder and weirder as they go, and the fact that like everybody's just like, no, we don't want to do this, and she's just like, we gotta keep going, like let's just keep going.
Yeah.
Is just it's I mean, they don't really have a choice, like they can't turn back after a point, of course, when it does cave in, but man, she just like, it takes her a really long time to even begin to see like how bad things are.
Sure, because she's focused on the prize.
Yeah.
And that prize, the Sorcerer's Stone, Philosopher's Stone, whatever the hell, is next to some treasure. Mm-hmm. And the treasure is a trap. This is very classic Indiana Jones stuff. Now, I don't understand this. Like, they find the Philosopher's Stone. She uses it to heal that girl. Mm-hmm. And then, like, 10 minutes later, they're like, oh no, we need to go back and get the real one. This one doesn't work.
Well, they have the Philosopher's Stone. She uses the stone itself to do the healing.
Yeah.
And then they trigger the booby trap and everything. So they get trapped in there and they have to continue to go down to get out.
Yeah.
And then in order for them to get out of that, she has to, return it. Because, like...
But I thought she went back to, like, grab a new one because the one she had wasn't working to
after
heal.
They pass through hell. After they pass through that, like... Because it's the as above, so below.
So it's... Okay, so it's like a reverse image of it.
Right. So, like, theoretically, if they had left, like, without them triggering the treasure... I'm assuming they would take the stone and it would be able to work still. But it's weird because, like, the whole thing...
Aladdin.
Yeah, right? Like, but the whole thing is, like, obviously, it's metaphysical. It's about like, transmuting the soul. And so, like, she's going through hell and everything. So, and it's obviously, like, what she says, like, as within, so without. Like, as I believe, so the world is. Which is why she's able to heal people after. But she's only able to do that when she's, like, returned not the stone anymore, so that she can find out that it's really within herself. Yeah. So, yeah, it's weird though that it like even works before she, has to go through the trials, so to speak. But
yeah, I don't know. Okay, and yeah, we get Flamel himself. This very much reminded me of Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, when he goes to find Jesus's freaking, chalice. Mm-hmm. And there's that, like, Templar down there, kind of like from the Blind Dead movies. But he had that kind of same garb on that guy's wearing, with like chainmail and like the red and white like outfit and whatever. So yeah, And so that was Flamel himself, right? Just laying next to it.
Which
but,
is really cool that
he still, like, kind of looks fresh.
Oh, yeah. It looks like he just died, like, that day.
I thought for sure he was, like, getting up and coming.
Yeah, I always think that, too, because he's just, like, clearly, like, not been dead long is what it looks like. And obviously, like, you know, you keep relating it to, like, Indiana Jones, but, like, there's all these riddles that they have to solve and stuff throughout the film, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's some pretty decent deaths in here. Susie's face, Susie, however the hell you say her name, when her face gets crushed.
It's so intense when he grabs her and just...
They keep going deeper and deeper to try to get out, and I'm like, I don't know how deep you can go before like you realize like that's not the way out. But eventually it does work because they like reverse gravity to come on out of there once they find their way like kind of out. But yeah.
Well, that's as above, so below.
Yeah, Benji being thrown to his death.
Yeah, that's super gnarly.
The car scene
is like my favorite.
Is super cool. This reminds me of the scene in Paranormal Activity, the Ghost of Men, or not the Marked Ones, when dude is like, he's like not there, and then he like blinks into existence, and it's like right. This is like reversed, where he kind of gets like sucked into a wormhole, and then like the feet are just sticking up out of the ground.
It's so cool.
And
so scary.
It's my favorite thing in the movie, probably.
Yeah,
I really like that scene.
Yeah, I do too. It's definitely my favorite death scene for sure. I think it's so like it's just crazy that they go down, like they see a car on fire and they're just like, what?
They see the like literal Grim Reaper down there.
Yes. Like the actual Grim Reaper is there, and he's just like, welcome to my crib.
Yeah. And he tells Scarlett like, that was the best week of my life, and it's like the week you spent in Turkish prison.
Yeah, I know. And he means
got something to say?
He means before that, I'm sure, but
you sure about that?
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Them coming out of the walls and stuff, that was cool. No one found the footage. We already talked about that. They literally have to make like a leap of faith.
Yes.
Very Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade, where Indy literally has to step out and do like a leap of faith to walk across the invisible bridge. And then they get the upside down world, and they come out, and the people who like lured everyone down there, right? Scarlett gets to live, as does George and the other random French dude they brought down there.
Yeah, I mean,
and everyone else is like in hell.
They're all dead. I don't know.
Not just dead, they're like in hell.
But I guess they are, because like the mole died down there, and he's like
stuck in hell.
Stuck.
Yeah.
So I can only assume that Susie and Benji and what's his name? The other guy, the other French guy.
Yeah.
Is also all down there in hell. So it's kind of a sad. I mean, it is a sad ending, but it's like a bummer ending because I don't know that I ever really want her to like survive, which kind of sucks. But I just, as much as I love the film, I just think her character is really hard to relate to in a lot of ways.
Doesn't she get out of there with the Philosopher's Stone?
Well, she doesn't have the stone, but she has like, I mean, she should have like this ability to like heal things and people and like do whatever because she went through it.
Yeah.
But maybe not. Maybe it's only while she's down there, and what she's supposed to have taken is something like less magical and more just like a, like bettering herself. But
I mean, it'd be great if someone had something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a cool movie for sure. Mm-hmm. So, anything more to say?
No.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.